Cheers, and welcome to the NooK on the Voluntary Virtues Network. I'm Steve, and I'm here today with Mike.
Yo.
Matt.
Cheers.
And John.
Peace.
And what am I drinking, Matt?
It's Stumblefoot's. I believe it's an imperial stout with chipotle peppers added.
Interesting.
It's an interesting beer. I don't know how
I'm
I
not
feel
a
about
fan.
it though. Yeah, that's exactly.
I don't taste the.
Is it smoky?
Well,
no,
there's a fire here, so
it's lighter
everything's
than I
smoky,
expect.
but-
'Cause this is a really dark beer,
7%.
and it's 7%, and it still tastes like there's something
I don't
missing.
know what it is. It's.
And I don't taste the chipotle. Like with the
You know what? Maybe.
habanero sculpin, you can really taste the pepper.
You know what
Hell
it is?
yeah.
I think it's maybe because how hot the peppers are varies. So maybe the batch they brewed this wasn't very hot.
That is a possibility.
So maybe it wasn't their fault, and they thought it would turn out well based on another batch.
Blame the grower. That's what I do.
Yeah,
I don't know, but that would provide maybe a lesser bite, but this has no bite at all.
I do not. Although I've gotten jalapenos that don't have a bite, right? Haven't you?
That's true.
That tastes
Agreed.
pretty green.
Agreed.
So maybe they just got a batch that weren't very hot. Or maybe...
Why are you trying to...
Hey, man, I don't know. I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because I feel like there should be spice in this. I don't know. Anyway.
I have some
Meh.
chipotle pepper if y'all want.
There you go.
I am kind of disappointed,
A
though.
little disappointed. I was hoping for spicy. Anyway,
Let's see what I do. What do I taste?
I don't know, man.
It's almost like a sour taste to it.
Yeah, I know. I can't put my finger on it, but I know what you mean.
Mike, what are you drinking?
Hey, so funny thing about that, you guys were talking about how your beer wasn't so good. Well, yeah, not that good either.
Damn.
Yeah, kind of. I guess
we're 3-0
guess we're
tonight.
having a bad week on this.
We're 0-3.
I don't really like to, say bad things.
I've had that before. It's not that bad, is it?
Okay, it's not bad, but
What is it?
my favorite type.
What
of
is
beer,
it, Mike?
My favorite type of beer ever.
Let's go
I love an
continue.
oatmeal stout.
Unfazed.
I'm a big fan of oatmeal stouts. Like an oatmeal stout will make me very
I don't
happy.
think Mike cares what we're saying.
Yeah, no, I'm getting there.
Mike's giving his beer review.
I'm getting it in there. I'm working in.
It's very important.
I'm just prefacing it with the fact that I don't really like to talk shit about beers, but it's Missoula or Anderson Valley Barney Flats Oatmeal Stout. So Anderson Valley is the brewer, and the beer is called Barney Flats Oatmeal Stout. Again, love an oatmeal stout.
Not so much
It
that
barely tastes like an oatmeal stout. It's kind of a stout, but I don't get that nice, grainy flavor of the oatmeal
real
stout.
malty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
This
not
is-
getting
that's
that.
what it is. This doesn't. It looks
Exactly.
so dark.
I know, right?
You know what?
But
It almost takes maybe fermented. I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck happened with this.
It smells decent too. It has a good aroma.
So do we have to get robots to brew beer so
man.
it comes out perfect every time?
Dude, it's like Watson. and that, I think it was a barbecue sauce recipe or something. Apparently it
Yeah.
was
Speaking
amazing.
of that,
I don't think John did his though. He's got
Oh.
He's got something fermented.
I'm sorry, John.
Yeah. The old staple, gingerberry kombucha
Nice. Sounds good.
tonight.
At least somebody's drinking something decent tonight.
Yes, somebody's drinking
Right, we
something
had to get some
delicious.
positivity
It's
in
wonderful.
here. But on to Watson
Great week.
and Leg Technologies.
Yes.
Okay.
Transhumanism.
Transhumanism and ethics
Yes.
of it,
The ethics of transhumanism.
and or future robots.
First of all, I think we need to hash out what is transhumanism. We kind of talked about it a little bit before the podcast. I think we may have a little difference of opinion. John, you were kind of the opinion that transhumanism refers specifically to the melding of human and machinery, right?
Right, the integration of technology into the human biology. Yeah.
I'll
That's-
agree to that. That
that-
sounds like a pretty good
It's nice and
definition. Yeah.
narrow, nice and tight,
Mhm.
but I'm open to other definitions.
What would you say to technology that has integrated
Currently.
biological systems?
Like pharmaceuticals, as an example. Give me an example.
I was thinking maybe like a computer that uses neurons.
Exists, as far as I know. I believe I read
Well,
about
yeah,
this.
there's a wet brain or something like that, actually, right? So
It's,
there is something
They are
along
messing
the,
with neurons
Right.
controlling circuitry.
right, and that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about in that context, but yeah, I mean, run with that. It's a good conversation.
If it wasn't copyright protected, I'd really like to put like the X-Files like theme song right now.
Yeah, no, I remember something to that effect. But that it actually exists.
I believe it was a rat brain, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
I saw that they were able to transfer information from one rat to another via from one rat brain to another.
I didn't even know
I remember
that.
hearing about that. Yeah. That there was
Um,
that it is experiencing memories that it did not actually have.
Well,
Is that what it was?
Spock's
Yeah.
been doing that for a while.
Congress turned one rat brain into the other brain.
So, as we've already said, we are somewhat, progressing in transhumanism already. It's not like something that's going to be in the
Well,
future.
they have that. I mean, there is definitely examples now.
One
is
other
that-
thing I wanted, I'm sorry, real quick. One other thing I wanted to hash out is what about, like, computer mind interfaces? Like, your mind controls the computer.
I've done that before. But
and
John,
that exists too, though.
I've done it.
Right.
Yeah.
John.
Would you consider that in transhumanism, though?
Yeah, I'm sure that.
Would transhumanism imply that the computer is talking back to the person that's
Yeah, I don't
controlling
know.
it? You know what
That's
I mean?
a good question.
yeah.
I don't know how rigid I would be with this concept.
It does get kind of there are gray areas
right.
a lot.
Yeah.
I think the more technology becomes prevalent in our lives, the less we see it as something that's transhumanist.
There's
or-
also the reorganization of memories and thoughts via computer.
Well, there's the concept of eventually being able to transfer consciousness
Yes.
from our physical body over to whatever it may be. But also, I mean, like I was going to say, there's existing examples of what I think is, firmly in the realm of transhumanism, and that's prosthetics that respond to brain signals, right?
Yes,
those,
I read
those
something
actually
recently
exist
about
now
that.
too, right? So
Yeah.
that's
pretty awesome.
right.
They've been able to fix people's vision, make people hear.
Yeah, I remember watching a documentary on the Vision one. That's awesome.
Right.
How
there's some
that
really
works.
cool ones,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some fantastic applications.
Cochlear implants giving deaf people the ability to hear.
So, what are the negative sides to any of it? I've really yet to hear us point out anything negative about this. I mean,
Well-
I'm sure there's got to be something.
So, from the dark aspect of it, I can think of actually several things. One being is that ultimately, what if the plan, or if it becomes someone's agenda, that we're all thoroughly transhumanized and dependent upon technology now, and then someone else is able to gain access to that technology without us having control of it anymore. So
I've heard recently of people at like MIT being able to hack into pacemakers, something like that.
Yeah.
Do not have your prosthetic arm be Wi-Fi capable.
Here's an example, right? So like,
Or at least put a password on.
so
And not a solid word.
So there is, there's talk about not being able to manipulate IQ as an example in a living being. They can't do that, but they're well on their way to doing it as a fetus. And so they're talking about not being able to just, boost just 60 IQ points or even 100 IQ points. They're talking about hundreds up to a factor of 1,000. So let's say that you have the money to buy 1,000 IQ points, or for your child as an example, right? And this goes into the ethics of it. So you could imagine if you're cruising around with 1,000 IQ, maybe you start looking pretty lowly on those stupid fuckers with 160. You know what I mean, right? And it doesn't take a whole lot of imagination to think that could go south pretty quickly, especially, so that's one negative aspect, right?
I think that is that's definitely a possibility. That let's just say it's one individual that has that capabilities. The $6 million man or something. Part of to tie two things together, but I think there is a connection there. Is that so? Guy has an IQ way above everybody else, and he's able to process and come up with concepts or understand concepts that nobody else can really understand. That person, there's a damn good chance, unless like he's been exposed to certain philosophies, that he's probably going to think himself better than others, as by nature. And I think that
was that movie Lawnmower Man?
Was it?
Should have seen that movie.
But I think that was a weird motivation. I think for a lot of specifically, I think like British and like French colonialism, is that they would show up and they would have the natives, living in, be it, adobe huts or teepees and all this sort of stuff, and and their conclusion was lesser technology, or if we're being like objective about it, just different technology, not necessarily not as good, but just separate. But they would show up and they, in their minds they would almost think like, well, how is it that they don't know how to build a Gothic cathedral? We must be better than them. Well, wait, so because you guys can arrange stones in a certain manner, but these guys also know how to do everything you could possibly need to do with the internals of a bison or something like that. The Europeans are coming over and be like, no, they use every single part of this animal. Like, they really... Does that make somebody smarter than somebody else? Like, it's kind of... Or is it smarter, with their origin?
Clearly, IQ doesn't give a accurate representation of all of a person's intellect.
Bingo, bango. Yeah, there's...
I'm sure that's what you were trying to do.
Yeah, I was probably going to say something about that along one point of the line, and there's like 20 or 25 different IQ tests, and who knows exactly what the matrices are for all of those, but yeah.
Well, the question really comes down to, I think, do you limit who has access to certain technologies, and who has the right to limit certain technologies? And should certain technologies just be completely out of bounds?
Well, I think I'm a lot less guarded against it if we have universally addressed the hierarchical problem, the hierarchy issue, right? So
yeah,
if we've addressed hierarchy, and this is my, flame me if you will, this is my dissent against pure anarcho-capitalism, is it doesn't address business hierarchies, right? So I think that is simply where the sycophants, the psychopaths will go wherever hierarchy still exists. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think we need to universally across the board look at all hierarchies with a jaundiced eye. And so if we do that, then I'm a lot less guarded against these technologies.
Well, even in that kind of atmosphere, though, you still have people who have more resources and people who have less resources.
Well, is it more about acknowledging that everybody is on an equal playing field, in that they have every right to agree or disagree to whatever they like? In business
Are people
deals.
on an even playing field, though, when somebody with a lot of resources can manipulate
Right.
I guess, yeah.
the genetics
And
and strength and intelligence of their offspring?
right. You're talking, right.
When somebody with lesser resources does not have access to that technology.
Right. That's exactly speaking to the root of the issue there.
Even in that situation, you're really building a caste system where you have and we talked about this before, the movie Gattaca
Right.
played to that idea that there's two different classes of people in that kind of a society, those that can and have improved abilities, and those that are natural born.
So, I'm tracking with you, man. I mean, like, but there's corporations and governments who are, dumping untold billions into this, right? It's. I mean, unless they just can't do it for whatever technological barriers or whatever, this is like essentially a foregone conclusion. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, whether we think it's ethical or not, we have to figure out, like,
How do you deal with it?
Exactly right.
Because it's coming.
And so we need to address, get everybody, I mean, as many people as we can, to look at where these centers of power are coming from, and look at them all, whether they're hiding behind the state, hiding behind the corporation, hiding behind the church, or whatever. We need to look at all centers of power, all hierarchies with supposed authority as as a negative.
Absolutely, because you could have, I could completely see a scenario playing out where you have a group of people who've been enhanced with superior intellect, who then create an army of superhumans to protect what's theirs,
Right.
essentially.
This is where I draw my line on how much technology is going to be involved in my body. At this point, the way the world is now, there's no wires that are going to be attached to my gray matter in any sense or shape.
Even
or
if you
form.
could get an internal brewer, like a beer brewer,
No.
like internal.
They don't need wires.
No, well,
They don't need
Yeah,
wires.
they don't need wires.
Well, you know,
Wires,
with
it could
that,
be wireless.
okay, so if it's internal, as in involved in everything from the neck down, I'm okay.
Look at
But
the
I'm
God
talking
helmet.
about gray matter. No
Look at the
wires
God
to gray
helmet.
matter. Huh?
There's no wires on the God helmet. Look what it'll do.
Yeah,
to you.
but there's
What about RFID
elect-
chips?
nope.
It's just
nope.
a focused.
That's not in your brain.
It's a focused electromagnetic field. I don't really like to say this because I hope I'm not getting any ideas. But say they take that same thing and have it, something that tracks your motion and focuses on that spot in your brain. I don't know. That I feel like that technology wouldn't be too difficult to pull off even now.
Those chips that they can drop from the sky that are thinner than human skin, drop on you.
The smart dust.
Yes.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
Smart dust.
I don't know if
That's what they
that's.
call it, yeah.
I don't know if
Haven't
they're
heard of that
admitting to
yet.
that yet, though.
Oh, smart dust was out there. That was all over the place.
They were
Is
showing
it
the
coming
tech
out
where
of
they could put it in-
airplanes?
Smart dust. Basically, it's.
I thought they were talking about it in theoretical terms.
My
though.
understanding was that they want to basically spread this stuff, and it gives off a signal to other smart dust, and it all communicates, and then they can track movements of objects based on these signals. I don't know if they've actually done much with it or actually gone through with the whole thing, but I remember reading about it.
I remember reading about
That's
it too,
old
but I
shit,
thought
man.
it was
They were
more.
doing that in the 70s, dude. We're just now hearing about it.
I
Well,
wouldn't
I
be too
mean-
surprised.
I mean, without going too far off on a tangent, I mean, that's the way government technology kind of works. You find out about it after
That's
they've
true.
had it for a while. I mean,
The Harrier jet
the
was
Harrier,
invented in the 60s.
the Harrier, a really, I think, more well-known example of that is the B-2 Stealth bomber. They had been working on that for a very super long time. I said it. And I was gonna say it. Whatever. But so they were working on that like late '60s, early '70s, right? 1992, they pull it out of the hangar and say, "We're gonna use this thing in Iraq. See, this thing ain't this cool, right?" So that's when everybody found out about it, at least the general public. But I guess getting back to the whole like transhumanism thing, is there a possibility that they're doing something or manipulating people? Let's go that tinfoil hat route and say, did the CIA put a chip in my brain? Are we going to go there? Sure, why not?
Well,
let's
they're
talk about that.
They're definitely working on a lot of, they call them brain training things, where they use direct current to stimulate a certain type of area of your brain in order to, usually they claim it's for enhancing an ability. I don't know if that's always accurate.
I don't have like this 40 years is in type thing, the brain entrainment. Like, that's the technology I could see is useful, and because you take it off and you're not necessarily, from what I know, that's not dependent upon it. It just allows you to train your brain so you can focus, right? And it has implications on.
This is like a current stimulation on your brain, which I'll talk to you more about later. But anyway, yeah. So
when electronics are put away.
but
By the way, tinfoil just works really well for that. Wrap your phone in tinfoil, you're good.
Not so much, actually.
I don't know.
Really?
The way to test it would be to call your phone. If your phone works and rings, then you know it's not stopped.
Right, yeah.
We should have called this the tinfoil hat episode, right?
Subtitle tinfoil hat episode.
Microwaves are a good one, but once again, make sure it's off.
And
Don't
check
break
it
your phones and blame it on me.
because a lot of cheap
Microwaves apparently don't block
Call your
microwave
phone.
signals.
don't actually work.
Call your phone.
It's pretty wild to think about it. Your microwave does not block all the microwave signals. So wait, so I'm nuking something and there's shit coming out of here?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Fun fact: if you want to check to see if you're getting irradiated by your microphone or your microwave, put your phone in the microwave and call it. Don't turn on the
Do
microwave
not
while your
turn
phone
on
is
the
in the
microwave when your phone
microwave,
is on.
If you do, don't blame us.
Yeah.
Because your phone works on the same wavelength.
Yes. All run by microwaves. I guess the other thing that when I think of transhumanism is a good friend of mine, not mentioning names because I just don't think dude wants to be mentioned on podcast. He really wants to have his consciousness uploaded onto the net. He believes by the time he dies that technology will exist. I don't
Are you
necessarily.
friends with Sheldon?
No. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that by the time we're old and getting ready to crawl into the grave, that technology will probably be there, if not way beforehand.
Here's the question, though.
For what
If
purpose,
you
though?
upload your consciousness into a computer, say, and then download it back into a new body, is that body with your consciousness still you, or is that a new person?
It's
I think
No.
I think that's the thing. I don't think that fidelity will continue. But my fear with that concept of uploading your consciousness to the net is that the way society is now with the hierarchical stuff is
wouldn't trust it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck
What,
no.
like I told him, I go, this is what's going to happen. You're going to go into whatever lab, and they're going to say, oh, you wanted your consciousness uploaded to the net, and they're going to hook up some wires to you, and they're going to turn the machine on, and then the minute your lights go out, they're going to be like, ha 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 ha, you're a processor, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get
Except
And
for
we're in the
it's-
Matrix.
Except for it's
Something
not
like
your
that.
consciousness that processes.
It's just your
brain.
Yeah, it's just your wiring. You're like, hey, guess what? You're saving like some bullshit
All-
like
when you
articles from Wikipedia.
when you talk about uploading your consciousness to a computer, what you're actually talking about is uploading the arrangements of neurons that form your consciousness. You're not
Yeah.
actually talking about uploading your brain, which is the actual processing
I
unit.
think it would also depend on what happened after you uploaded it. If it changed after that, would that be more of you? Would it change based on the patterns that are already in the brain, like your brain does? How it responds to the environment based on the past. Like, so it would kind of depend on what took place after, I think.
Right.
So it would pick up, if it was a exact replica of your brain and responded to stimuli how your brain would, then that would be pretty much you, in a sense that the responses you got from that would be similar to the responses you would get from the real person.
Well, here's another.
Unless there's more to humans than we know.
Right, so then, like, this adds another dimension, right? Like, so from a psychopath's perspective, tyrant controllers, like, oh, we didn't murder anybody because we transferred their consciousness here. You know what I mean? You know, it's like,
and
Their
then-
consciousnesses
and then you
were uploaded
Yeah,
somewhere else.
then you could rehabilitate them.
right, in a better body. We did them a favor. you
Yeah.
know?
We were helping
Yeah,
them
so you'd
out.
get pretty
Then you
hard.
rehabilitate them to
Sci-fi's
make
like
them
that.
more
I've
docile.
seen movies like this.
So just think of
Okay, off
though
camera.
a consciousness
What
goes
is-
into a baby, and then the baby grows up already really brilliant, and then the evolution will just. And if you keep going, I mean, where we could go, we could be that thousand.
Well,
without the-
so the infinity is carrying with it past life experiences, is what you're
Everything.
saying.
Everything,
That
everything.
from
All the
whatever
knowledge, and
conscience.
then-
It'd be like on a video game when you finish the game and they allowed you to start a new game, but with all the
Exactly.
stuff you already
Yeah,
had.
but you're a baby.
So if you basically you trap that consciousness, so you're trapping the actual soul itself, since it is a frequency.
Yeah,
or
well,
vibration.
have fun with the whole birth process. You'll never look at your mom the same. Or whatever.
After
woman.
birth is when you transfer it.
Yeah,
Well, how? I guess at that point you'd probably be growing babies in labs and shit.
Yeah,
Well, I mean-
Right.
Oh
exactly.
man, the future's fucked.
I
up.
mean-
But here's the question too. Then when does a physical body get a consciousness to where are you killing somebody to put your consciousness in the body, or
You 3D print it, dude.
Right.
Well, that's
3D
not-
print the body?
Atomic 3D printers is what we need.
But
Somebody
but
get on
still,
that. Scientists.
once
Get on that.
once the body
You
is
smart people.
activated,
I don't care about IP, so steal that idea.
Steal that
once,
idea.
once the body is alive, how many brain processes does it take before it is a person?
Somebody knows the answer to that already. You could say at this
I don't
point.
think you can know the answer to that.
No,
Well, no,
that'd be
you
a
can know
rough
the answer
one.
to like what your brain is the capability of how quickly it can process stuff. I mean, that's how they
We
know.
got right now in the abortion issue,
Okay.
people arguing over when
Computer has arms on it.
when a baby becomes
You're a cyborg.
a
Right,
person,
right.
a fetus becomes a person.
Okay.
You're literally a cyborg.
What makes you think that this would be different from that? To me, it seems to be the same argument.
Okay.
How many brain processes does it take before this
That's it.
shell becomes a person, and that you are in fact killing that person to put your consciousness so that you can continue with life?
Fair enough. I'm not arguing that point.
Or
I'm not
what?
arguing the point.
What if you could do kind of like how they have the face? I don't know. What if you could mix two people together? It'd be like, what would both be like mixed together?
Okay. So
Like mix their consciousness?
if you've e-
I don't know. I don't know how it'd work. It just came across my mind.
if you've ever looked at,
Okay.
there's a couple of books out there, but on scientific proof for reincarnation, and they talk about almost exactly this kind of conversation from a different perspective, basically arguing that, of course, that reincarnation is real, and that reincarnated individuals look a lot like individuals that they came from, in the cases that have been validated, or that they have strong consensus for being a valid case of reincarnation. Anyway, so the reincarnated being actually makes the next person, makes the baby. It grows up looking like the person that they came from. And
So they adjust the genetics?
there's
That's the idea?
basically the way I heard it, read it, talked about, it was actually a recent interview, but talked about that it's essentially energy, vibration, and it makes the cells respond to, just like cellular memory. That's the argument behind it, and you know, it's interesting stuff anyway.
This is a weird sort of bias to talk about, and it may kind of like hit some stingy needles out there. But have you ever noticed that like somebody who is a real negative individual or has had a lot of really bad life experiences? Call this out of left field, but have you ever noticed that they kind of seem to have a sort of different effect to their face and their actions and stuff like that? I mean, like I said, this is a little bit odd. It's a little bit out there, but you know
I'm
what I'm
not
saying?
sure what you mean.
Well, it's just like somebody who is like yeah. Okay, like I said, a little bit out there.
There's actual scientific evidence that shows that your health and
Your attitude.
your health is affected by your attitude.
Yeah.
That people who tend to be happier, bubblier, type people are their health is improved by that.
Well, that's what I was talking about. So
Okay. There we
Done.
go then.
All right.
Okay, so I
Okay.
getting back to the topic though.
yeah, you're right.
If you had a cyborg, let's say,
Right.
or let's say a robot maybe with like a human brain,
And they walked into a bar. Okay, continue.
and they were. What were you
Got a
gonna say?
question? I'm sorry. Go
Okay.
on.
No, I was just gonna say, it with a consciousness,
Uh-huh.
but like their entire body was mechanical.
Bartender says. Sorry. Okay, go. I'm sorry. I can't.
Can I finish?
Yes.
Can I
Yes.
finish?
Yes, you can.
Does this involve fellatio?
Yes. Yeah, basically, I was gonna say, would there be a case for rape if you were to have sex with that mechanical creature, just because it's attached to a consciousness?
And we're out of time.
If it isn't,
Oh,
damn it! I was just going
Every
to talk about
freaking
it.
time.
Consciousness
Synchronized my
and,
watch
but,
tonight.
You know,
I
that's a
don't know
different
what I would do
story,
without
and here we are.
All right. Well,
Robot
next.
sex will happen in the future.
It
That
will
is an
happen.
episode. We promise.
Have a good night.
Promise.
Good night.
Cheers.
Good night.